up, y'all? I'm Chris with Homestead Tech Talk, and today's podcast is going to be about finances, the economy, kind of what's going on in the world. Got Scott Akins here with me.
Hello, what's up?
What up? He's driving. Freaking, we're heading back from Chicago. We just got done doing a job up here. So, pretty excited to come back home and drive all the way to Jacksonville, North Carolina after that. Again, same night. Gonna put a lot of hours in, a lot of miles down, and figure we knock out a podcast. And yeah, pretty obvious. We just got back from Burger King. We're eating some nasty,
Watch out.
some of them nasty Whoppers, you know. But they do. You can't ask for it to be bunless, so you can stay in ketosis that way. Still nasty as fuck. Don't recommend eating it. Got me some unsweet tea though out of it too. So, but without further ado, let's get into what's going on here. And almost forgot. Before we get started on this podcast, I'm going to start doing an Amazon thing I like of the day. Amazon item of the day. I have an Amazon affiliate program. This is something that I really, really, really like, is this watch. This is a Garmin Instinct 2 solar watch. I've been wearing it for quite a while. It's solar. You can see it's got a little solar gauge that tells you when you're charging, tells you how many days of battery you got left. Back here is where you charge it, right there. This thing will measure everything from, we'll run down the list. Solar intensity. I've got it set to measure a body battery. It tells you how much energy you got left, how much energy you gained from sleep. My heart rate. I've got it set right here to where it's a dual purpose compass and altimeter. So it tells you your altitude and it's a compass. Cool. I can get the weather off of it. Sleep information. It's got a calendar, temperature, stress level, how many calories I've burnt, how many steps I've taken. There's many more. It's also got a GPS function. Back. And I can use it to navigate. So that's pretty cool. So I got home set on this watch. So just with this watch, I can hit navigate, go to home, and it will shoot an azimuth from where I'm at to my home. And I can walk there and it'll tell me how much distance I've got left, how much distance I've traveled, overall distance. And if I'm off course, it'll constantly keep an azimuth shot to that location where I want to go. Now, another cool thing, it'll link to a Garmin GPS or my phone. And I can go to this Garmin Explorer app, and I've got a nationwide topographical map that is linked to this GPS, that is linked to all my GPS coordinates on this phone. So not only does it shoot the azimuth, it'll shoot the azimuth on my phone and take me where I want to go. And I can look at the topography and work my way around the topography. And it'll download satellite images once I get real close to home so I can tell in detail where I'm at and use landmarks through satellite imaging. If you don't want to use your phone, you can also download all this information to a regular Garmin GPS and link your watch to it. And then you've got a regular GPS and phone. I still recommend having a compass and map as a backup in case the power goes out and something happens to these. But this is a game changer, and I love it. And with that,
It's a costume.
I don't know, this was a Christmas gift. There'll be a link in the show description. It'll be the item of the day link. And the cost will be on there. I'll find you the best cost I can. I'm wanting to say this watch was a little over $100, maybe.
No, no, it was cheaper than my Fitbit.
Yeah, it's cheaper than a Fitbit, I think, and it does a lot of stuff. And on the Garmin Connect app, you can even change the watch face design and everything to suit your needs. This thing is completely customizable, guys, and it does all kinds of cool stuff. I haven't even figured out everything it does, but I love this thing. Diana, this was the best Christmas gift I've ever got. Thank you. I love you. And with that, guys, let's get on with the podcast. What's going on here? And this episode will also we'll be doing a lot of screen sharing charts and stuff too. I gotta take a drink. My voice is getting a little cracky. So, Scott, I keep seeing Facebook posts on like Occupy Democrats that talk about Brandon made the economy so good because the Dow Jones is like 40,000.
Okay.
Do you think the economy is good right now?
No,
Neither do I.
I don't think the economy's been good for a long time.
The economy never fully recovered from the 2008 financial crisis. They just basically printed a bunch of money and injected it into the stock market through quantitative easing, and that's why the stock market rebounded, which is bullshit. And you know, we've been coasting on that quantitative easing for a while. 2020 hits. We've created 80% of all the money that's ever been created from 2020 to 2022, and so you see this huge spike in the M1 money supply, and you also see a huge spike in silver prices, a spike in Bitcoin prices, and you also see a spike in everything prices. Everything starts going up because all that money was created. As far as like the economy, I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious that things haven't been well. Gas is ridiculous.
Groceries are ridiculous.
It was $4.19 a gallon where we were just at north of Chicago. Last time we were in downtown Chicago, it was $5.60 a gallon. Groceries are ridiculous. Like, good luck. You know, used to you could get a whole ass cart of groceries for about $100.
Oh yeah.
Now you can get like 2 or 3 bags of groceries for $100. It's not good. And you know, and a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people. I mean,
we went to the grocery last week before we left to travel, and we didn't even fill the cart up, and it was $256, and that's not really splurging on expensive meats or sodas or
I brought the meats with
junk
me.
shit.
I brought the meats with me. That was just shit to compliment it. Was it? That was the Jewel Osco in Wicker Park, wasn't it?
I think it was.
Yeah. So that's saying something. That's insane.
Can you imagine? I mean, you guys buy groceries to feed a family of 4.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's insane.
It's insane. I'm making right now the most money I've ever made in my entire life. If I would have looked back in, say, 2019, we'll say May of 2019, I was we'll say April, early May of 2019. I was a 5th-year apprentice. I was still an apprentice. I was making, I think, $22 or $23 an hour.
Sounds like good money.
Which was pretty good money in 2019. And I was getting ready to turn out. And when I turned out, I was going to be making $30.60 an hour. And I was tickled shitless. Sky was the limit. Sky was the limit, right? Not bad money. I make significantly more than that now in 2024, and I had more buying power when I was a 5th-year apprentice in 2019 making $23 an hour. And I'm going to show you the math on it.
Makes you wonder how anybody making minimum wage can survive.
They can't. Minimum wage in 1964, the last year that we used silver coinage, was $1.25 an hour. The melt value on 5 silver quarters right now is roughly $25. Minimum wage in 1964 would have been the equivalent of making $25 an hour today. And once again,
That's a stagnant economy.
we're going to show you the math on it. You're not going to be happy with it. So, without further ado, I'm going to pull up some charts. Yeah, this is my OBS studio. We're going to minimize that. And we're going to go over here. And we're going to look up the M1 money supply from January 2019 to January of 2024.
So what is the M1 money supply?
The M1 money supply is the amount of currency in circulation, roughly.
And that's reported by the Federal Reserve
Yeah,
government?
this is from the stlouisfed.org.
Gotcha.
Basically what it is, it's cash. The M1 money supply is how much money is in savings, checking, cash. It's quick money. It doesn't. I don't believe it includes retirement accounts and money that you have to pay penalties on. It's quick liquid cash money that you could pull out within a day or two and be able to spend. So here we've got about $4 trillion in circulation in 2019. You know, here's when I turned out, right here, May of 2019. And I started making $30.60 an hour. And life was really good from here to about here. Then the stimulus packages came out. And you can't blame Brandon for all of this. This is Trump as well. This is both Trump and Brandon that caused this. And all politicians are bad. I don't take political sides, and I'm a anarchist.
Bless your heart.
Bless my heart.
That's right.
I guess to explain that would be to say that not all libertarians are anarchists, but all anarchists are libertarians. So I'd be the libertarian. I don't like either side. I like freedom. So we see this huge spike where roughly $12 trillion was created out of thin air by the Federal Reserve. And then it just continues to go up and up and up till 2022. And then it seems like it's going back down. What that is our money is basically debt, and that's debt being paid off. And right here we've got about 20 trillion in fast money. 20,676,000,000,000 from 4 trillion to 20 trillion. 80%, roughly 80% of all the money ever created in the history of our nation was created from 2020 to 2022. You can't do that without consequences. Our money, and a brief history on our money, I think we need to talk about that because
you gotta know where it starts, know where it ends up.
Gotta know where it starts, know where it ends up, right? Well, okay, so 1913 Federal Reserve Act passes. That fractionalizes our money. Still on a gold standard, but our money's fractionalized at a 10-to-1 fractional reserve. Meaning, a bank can have, say, you deposit $100 into a bank. That bank can then loan $1,000 off of that $100. Well, that makes no sense, right?
Yeah, there's no.
Where'd that other $900 come from? Well, they've created it pretty much out of thin air at that point, but it was still gold backed. So it was kind of a wishy-washy thing. So come 1921-ish, the stock market doesn't do well, kind of crashes a little bit. People go to pull their money out. Their money's not fucking there. Bank runs. And a bank run is when people try to pull their money out and the money's not there and the bank is forced to shut down. That is a bank run. Right now, today, June 22nd, 2022, if you were to go in to any bank and try to pull out a significant amount of money, and I say a significant amount of money, a significant amount of money in us poor guys' terms. If you want to pull out 20 or 30 grand, they don't have it.
Not even that.
They don't have it
I've
in
tried
the
to
bank.
pull $5,000 out of my account in the past year and had to wait 5 days for the bank to have it available, which is absurd.
I pulled $23,500 out in 2015 to purchase land with. And they told me they didn't have it, and they told me it would take over a week to get it, and they were late getting it. And this is how screwed up our country is right now. Not only did it take a week for me to get my money, but on my way from the bank to my lawyers to purchase the land, if I had been pulled over by police, they could have seized that money through civil asset forfeiture, and then I would have had to have proved that I wasn't intending to do nefarious acts with it before they would have given me my money back, which is very, very hard to prove.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they wouldn't let you do that.
They wouldn't let you do that. People lose money all the time through civil asset forfeiture. You know who the granddaddy, the grand old man of civil asset forfeiture is? Joe Biden.
Makes sense.
That was a big thing in the 1994 crime bill. That was basically Joe Biden came up with. So, fun fact on that. Another good thing is, so basically right now, I know you've heard of the Silicon Valley Bank and all that shit, the runs that were done on that.
Yep.
You could do that with any bank right now. All I got to do, I could walk into my bank, Navy Federal Credit Union, right now, walk into the lobby and say, I just tried to make a withdrawal and they said they don't have my money. And I could shut that bank down in 24 hours.
You could probably do that to any bank.
You can do that to any bank. You can do that to any bank in the country right now. You could shut a bank down by simply walking into the lobby and saying, I tried to make a withdrawal and they don't have my money. And you know what? They don't have your money. If you try to pull your money out in cash, they don't have it. It is not there.
Vehicle on shoulder ahead.
Roughly 8% of all the money currently in circulation is either coinage or cash. 92% of the money that's in circulation right now is digital, completely digital. And the problem with the digital money is that our government has this nasty thing they like to do where they seize bank accounts as well. So you could try to swipe that debit card one day and they won't let you have access to that money. Why? For any fucking reason they want. Because the Federal Reserve and the government work hand in hand. The Federal Reserve is not part of the federal government. The Federal Reserve is a private bank. But every bank in the country is within the Federal Reserve banking system, which works with the government. So, furthering on the history, everything crashes. FDR comes into office. FDR writes Executive Order 6001, banning civilian ownership of gold. Makes everybody sell their gold back to the Federal Reserve banks for $20.67 an ounce. He gave you a whopping extra 67 cents above what the standard gold standard was at $20 an ounce. And then he inflates the dollar to $35 an ounce. Comes the Bretton Woods Accord, all that fun shit. And once that happens, you know, the money inflates and starts just devaluing and devaluing because, once again, you've got a bank that can just print it out of thin air. I believe House Joint Resolution 192 is where it was inflated to $35 an ounce. And once that happens, you know, things kind of stabilize a little bit. And then all of a sudden, all these countries that were using the dollar as a reserve currency, they want to turn those dollars back into gold at $35 an ounce. Well, the Federal Reserve has printed so much money that that's crazy. And that it's going to deplete the entire nation's gold reserves. I would bet you $1,000 right here and now that there isn't a single bar of gold in Fort Knox. I did a lot of work at Fort Knox. It's a super secure area. And the funny thing is, when I was working there and I was getting the vehicle registration for the company vehicle I was in at Deers there, they made a comment. It was on the screen. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something about our goal or gold or not or something. You know, Fort Knox has more to offer than just gold or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but it made me think that maybe there isn't
They
really
have
gold
plenty
there.
of lead.
They have plenty of lead.
Yeah. You don't want to try and cross that fence.
No.
They will shoot you.
Yeah. I got some cool videos
They're-
from the water
they're either-
tower up there.
It's
You can
funny
see it.
the things people protect that fiercely. They protect stuff that's super valuable or stuff that's not as valuable, but they don't want anybody to know about.
So I will bring up the Fort Knox thing later as well, because there's a couple more stories behind that. Because I used to work on Fort Knox for a little bit. But fast forward to 1970, everybody wants their shit back in gold. Well, Nixon completely takes us off the gold standard, makes our shit fiat, and then strikes deals with the Middle East, basically backing the gold with the petrodollar, where nobody really can sell oil for anything other than US dollars. And if you look this up, any country that's ever tried to sell oil for anything other than US dollars, we've invaded them. We've taken over their government. I believe the last one was probably Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, where he got butt fucked with a Bowie knife.
Yeah.
I was part of Operation Odyssey Dawn.
Good time Saturday night right there.
Yeah, good time Saturday night. Well, that dude refused to sell oil in dollars and created a gold back Libyan dinar, and would only sell his oil in that. And then it was 5 months later, the whole everybody's rioting and he's bombing his own people and yada yada yada. And then the U.S. went in, supported opposition forces. An F-15 got shot down. There were some trap missions involved. The opposition forces, they pull Gaddafi out. They butt fuck him with a Bowie knife. And we prop up, I think 6 different factions were all fighting for power then at that time. And then you run into the whole Benghazi thing because we were heavily backing the Islamic State of Iraq and Libya, ISIL. And then they ended up turning on us. And then they also created kind of an offset called the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, formerly known as ISIS.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Watch out. Vehicle on shoulder ahead.
The United States has pretty much backed every terrorist organization in the fucking world at some point. It's wild. Hell, I think in Syria there was a NSA-backed terrorist cell was fighting a CIA-backed terrorist cell at one point, and they were
That's
both.
hilarious.
The U.S. was funding both sides and having them fight each other. It's crazy ass shit. You can't do anything but laugh at it. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just chaos incarnate.
What can you do? It's just insane. And they're doing all this backing with money that they created out of thin air through the Federal Reserve.
Vehicle on shoulder ahead.
So another thing, 1970, decoupled the dollar from gold completely. I think it was 1975. Gerald Ford comes in. He basically says that he lifted the ban on civilian possession of gold. That's what I'm looking for. He lifts the ban on civilian possession of gold. And that was in 1975. And we can look at what the spot price of gold was in 1975, possibly on JM Bullion. I'll check real quick. Let's holster this little mic here. There we go. On the seatbelt. I don't want to mess with my other charts. Those are for later.
It sounds like there's just a lot of back and forth as far as what our money does, where it comes from, what it's worth. It's like they want it so convoluted nobody can fucking keep up with it.
Pretty much. That's what it seems like. This is from 1993. That's weak. We want 1975 from. Yeah, I'm sucking at typing right now. Can we do that? It only goes back to like 2000, I guess. What? This is stupid. I don't know. Try another chart. That's for more recent stuff. I believe it was $192, but let me check. I keep hitting this thing. There we go. $185 an ounce. Now, this is in somebody's life. If you were 18 years old, right?
Joking.
You're 18 years old in 1933 when all this happened,
Okay.
and you were forced to sell your life savings at $20.67 an ounce.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
By the time you're, what would you be? You'd be 60 years old? You've been 60 years old and you want to buy that money back in gold? You'd have to pay $185 an ounce for it. Let's do some math on this. So let's take 185. We'll take 20.67 and divide it by 185. The money in that span, so dollars in that span were only worth about 11% of what they were when he was forced to sell it. And then we can, I believe,
Yeah, that's an unsustainable loss.
no, that wasn't what it was. Yeah. Roughly, so the dollar would have lost roughly 89% of its value in that time. Can you imagine? Like, that's insane. And this is at a pretty steady, roughly 5% inflation. Like, real inflation stays roughly at 5%. Like, overall span of things.
Yeah.
And in that 5%, so we can actually do the math here too. So you have $1,000 in your savings account, say 40 years ago. At 5% inflation, which is about as much as they can take from you without you really bitching about it. First year, you have $950 in buying power compared to when you put that money in there. Then 900. That's year 2, 3, 4, 5. Lost roughly 25% of your buying power in 5 years. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In 10 years, you're getting close to half. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. In 20, you've lost 65%. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. In 40 years, that $1,000 has $128 worth of buying power today. So what was 40 years ago? 2024? That would have been 1984. So 1984, you put this money in there. Well, you can't include the COVID years because inflation's outrageous during the COVID years, which we're about to talk about as well. So yeah, so that's how that.
I was 8 years old.
Yeah. So if you had if your parents put $1,000, which was a lot of money in 1984, into a savings account for you, that $1,000 today would have the equivalent buying power of $128 would have in 1984.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah. So now the money would have grown, of course, because of interest. So the physical dollars, there would be more.
But the interest never matches inflation.
But the actual buying power, what the dollar is actually worth, is pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, I guess I could have knocked a percent off of that because you might have made a percent. You might have salvaged a percent of that money in savings as a savings as interest, maybe. But roughly speaking, yeah. If you don't do anything with that money and you leave it in a savings account or a checking account, this is called the cost of capital on the dollar, and you can compensate for this, and businesses can typically compensate for this 5%. But when you end up doing this with your fucking money supply, that's hard to compensate for.
Oh yeah, no.
And then you end up with this. This is the price of silver. This is the price of silver. Where am I? This is the price of silver when I was just turned out in 2019. $15.39 an ounce. It's roughly the same time, this was the price of silver at $29 an ounce. Roughly $26, $29 an ounce, roughly a year later. This directly coincides with that increase in the M1 money supply, as you can see.
It's crazy.
Yeah. At the same time, you can see where it dipped, where the Dow dipped and everything dipped. And as you can see, silver has maintained a better value. I need to scroll over the years than the Dow Jones Industrial Average has. At your, Occupy Democrats, it hit 40,000. The economy's doing great. Well, also silver right now, if you look, silver is at 31.53 an ounce. So what that means is this is quantitative easing. This is money being created out of thin air and pumped into a stock market, causing it to go up, so it looks good.
Yeah.
But so does the price of everything else.
Yeah.
Just because there's more money in circulation.
Cheese, eggs. Yeah.
And if you look, the price of silver has gone up too, but the silver is not worth more. As I'm about to show you, the silver is not worth more. The dollar is worth less. Silver is not worth 32.03 an ounce, as it's shown right here on this chart. The dollar has inflated to where the same amount of silver, it takes that many dollars to buy that same amount of silver.
Yeah.
And we can look at, this one's Bitcoin, which is always fun because I love Bitcoin. And you can see pretty much the same thing in Bitcoin. It almost follows the exact same trend, only you're making more on it. You can actually make money on Bitcoin. If you look at it in the long term, yeah, you see some dips and stuff. But ultimately, the Bitcoin and silver both have outpaced the stock market. Silver is keeping your buying power in place, period. It keeps your buying power at a set level. Bitcoin, you can actually make money. And that's because Bitcoin is a deflationary currency. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin in circulation ever, period, end of story, no matter what happens. Silver, is similar, but you can mine more silver. You can add to the silver circulation to a degree. You can add to the gold circulation to a degree. But there's only a finite amount of it on the earth, in the Earth's crust. And that's why silver and gold and Bitcoin are more stable than the dollar. And we're about to learn that. Also, this is real inflation. This is the real inflation chart, roughly. The 1990 calculated inflation puts it around 15 to 18% in 2020. And then it shows it tapering off, but that's not realistic. So we'll explain that too. Inflation is cumulative. So if you saw, and I calculated this based on the price of silver roughly, if you saw 37% inflation in 2020, you saw 15% inflation in 2021 and 2022 and 2023, and this year you might see 10 to 15%. That doesn't mean, inflation's gone down.
Yeah. No,
inflation is still happening. It's still going up. It's just going up at a slower rate. Because if you have
never
any
come
percent,
back from it.
yeah, unless inflation goes negative, you never come back from it. And inflation historically never goes negative. It goes lower. It might dip to 1 or 2%, but you're adding 1 or 2% on that number that's already there, which we can do again with the calculator. Do CE delete. So if we saw 100 minus 37, wait, we can do this. So we'll start at, yeah, I screwed this up. 100, we'll start at a baseline of 2019 times 37% would be, the inverse of 37% would be 63%. So times 0.63. So we're at roughly 63% of our buying power is left. Times 0.85. 50% of our buying power is left. Times 0.85. And I'm doing the 0.85 to signify 15% inflation. So now we're in 2022. 45% of our buying power is left. Times 0.85 for 2023. I fucked up somewhere. Oh, I divided by instead of timesing. Oops. Hang on. We'll go back to this one. There we are. Times. Had fat fingers. 0.85. And then say we, in 2024, this year, we end up with maybe 10. We'll say 10 times 0.9. So if you had $100 in 2019, it now buys the same amount of shit as $34 would have in 2019.
Which is
today.
directly correlated when you go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
And you used to be able to buy an entire grocery cart full of groceries for $100, and today you can get 2 bags, 3 bags, depending on what you buy, of course.
So that roughly equates to a 65% inflation from 2019 to 2024. If my math is correct based on silver. But, well, silver doesn't determine the inflation amount. Well, the CPI and all that does. Well, they changed how they calculated inflation in 1990 to make it seem less bad. That's when the whole consumer price index shit came out. It's not realistic. And I'll prove it's all smoke and mirrors. And I'll prove this to you right now. So, 1964 was the last year that silver coinage was made. A 1911 service pistol was roughly $65 in 1964, right?
Okay.
$65. So that's the base price of a 1911 service pistol in 1964. Not a bad price, right?
No.
Well, a silver dollar contains 0.72 troy ounces of silver. So how much silver is this? We'll multiply this by 0.72. That's 46.8 ounces of silver.
Okay.
So if you had 46.8 ounces of silver, you could buy a 1911 service pistol.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What does one cost today? Let's go to roughly the same 1911 service pistol would have been. These are used. Keep that in mind. And these have $14.95. That was sold. 1911 A1 British Lend-Lease. This was a World War II. It has historic value. That's why it's so expensive as well. A comparable one would be this pistol right here, roughly $1,357 for this pistol. Out of stock still, can't get it. Regular price, $1,500. They knocked a little bit off, right?
Yep.
$1,357, not too bad.
It's not bad.
call it $1,400, kind of in between their price and the MSRP.
Okay.
This is a Colt. This is and the way this works is, so the baseline Colts aren't going to have as much value today as they did in 1964 because it was a relatively, the machining practices were different. Things are machined different today. Things are less quality today. So this would be about the same amount of quality as that 1964 pistol.
Yeah.
So let's take our price of $1,000, we'll say $1,400. $1,400. And we'll divide it by today's spot price of silver, which is $31.53. So 1,400 divided by 31.53 equals 44.4 ounces of silver.
Damn close.
About the same, within 2 ounces of silver, the same amount. You could actually buy this pistol for less silver than you could in 1964.
Yeah.
But why does it cost $1,400 versus $65?
Inflation.
Inflation. Because the price of silver didn't go up, the buying power of the dollar went down. That's how that works. And you can do this with literally fucking anything. Anything. We'll do it again. We'll do the price of, what was the price of ground beef in 2019? About $2 a pound?
Yeah, it's that.
If that. Like $1.99. We'll call it $2 a pound. We're going to do some rough guessing. So, off memory. I took a bunch of pictures of this shit because I started calculating this back in like 2019, 2020 era. And I'll have to look up those pictures. We'll say, $2 a pound. And what was the 2019 spot price of silver? We'll go back over here. We'll kind of peek it out. We'll say about $17, say about $18. We'll call it $18 because it is fluctuating right in there, right before COVID. So divided by 18. So you, for 0.11111 repeating ounces of silver, you could buy a pound of ground beef, right? How much is ground beef now? Let's look at Kroger, I guess.
At least $6-7 a pound.
It's like $6 a pound, I think. Something crazy. Oh no, I got kicked off the internet. I'm hot spotting. Give me internet back. I demand it. Where are you at? iPhone 46. Connected, secured.
Well, that makes sense. You lost signal when there's a tower right there.
You'll have that. This is going to vary from state to state on prices, but I'm just judging on based on generally my area. So we'll go to my zip code. Say this one. Shop pickup. Ground beef. $90 lean. $8.99 a pound. 80% lean. It's about what everybody gets is 80-20. $6.49 a pound.
Okay.
From $2 a pound to $6.49 a pound, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So remember this number right here.
Yeah.
It'll be saved. Yeah. Divided by our JM Bullion spot price of silver, $31.53. It did double. About 0.2 ounces of silver is what it takes. Silver's pretty high right now.
Yeah.
So it doubled and fucking inflation happened on that particular one. I wonder if we can historically search. Maybe. Yeah. I'm gonna. What was the price of ground beef? It's saying 423 per pound. I don't think the AI is particularly correct on that. Why is it not giving me 2019 numbers?
Well, the internet, you see, and technology are wonderful things, but they don't just necessarily give you exactly what you want.
I bet I could chat GPT it. We'll try chat GPT. I have a subscription for this. Okay, just let me log in. Yo, give me that GPT. I don't want to use 3.5. I want to use 4. Gonna sign in with Apple. I don't want to do that. I'll just use 3.5 because I don't want to give my information out right now. I'm probably going to edit some of this out because it's taking a while, or speed it up, do a little transition. Maybe it's around $3 a pound. We can try 3. I like playing with numbers. Okay, this thing got stupid on me. 3 kind of jives better. I'm sure somebody remembers. Do the math. If you can remember what the price of beef was in 2019 versus now, this is how you do the math. I've shown you. Do it. Check it out. You can do it with almost anything, except for fuel. Fuel fluctuates too much because the government has too big of a hand in it. Like they can blow up pipelines and restrict what countries can sell you fuel and who can do what and all that fun shit. So you got to watch out for that. So this is a basis on how the dollar works and why having fiat money is a bad idea. If you can't tell by now, then there's no point in you listening to this podcast. Get the hell out of here. Fucking Trump, motherfucker. And here's that Bitcoin. I started buying Bitcoin when it was about right here. And then it hit here, and everybody freaked out because it went down, then went up, and then I bought some more here, which was nice.
Yeah.
You know, I bought a bunch there, and then I bought some more here, and then this happened, and it's here. It's actually like $70 or 70,000 today. I think it hit 70. What does it say spot price is? 70,241 on Bitcoin. So if it's gone up 95% in this little time frame, I've outpaced inflation. I've outpaced inflation by 30%. I've made money. If you're making an average of 10% on your stocks and you see a 15% cost of capital, you're losing 5% of your buying power by having your money in a retirement account or in the stock market. If you're in Bitcoin, it might dip, but it always comes back up. It always, always, always comes back up because it's a deflationary currency and it's backed with security. Gold and silver are backed with rarity. Bitcoin is backed with security. The only thing that backs the US dollar is the threat of violence from the United States military. That is it. Or the United States government in general. If you decide you don't want to sell your oil in dollars, you get invaded. If you decide to violate legal tender laws in this country and don't accept US dollars as payment, the FBI comes and takes you away. That's how that works. Scary, scary stuff. So what do we do to help with the times? So let's talk about that, Scott. I've kind of taken the lead on explaining all these charts and stuff. Let's go back to the video. But let's have a conversation about this.
I put my money in lead.
Oh, look.
45 and 223 varieties.
Beans, bullets, and band-aids. There is a precious metal called copper jacketed lead that is a very good precious metal to invest in as well. Let me get off of this. Ew, it's awful. It's infinite. We're on infinity. So let's have an honest discussion, guys. We know the dollar's shit. The economy's going to hell. We're pretty much in the middle of an economic collapse as it sits right now. They can tell you the economy's going great as much as they want. It's very obvious it's not. Yeah, I do. You can actually kind of see it waving a little bit. I don't like it.
That's a weird feeling.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I don't give a fuck if anybody listens to this podcast or not. I have fun doing them. But yeah. So things that hold value are items that there's a finite amount of, or items that can't easily be produced, or items that can easily be produced, but they're constantly under threat of not being able to be produced. Wow, that guy was a jackass.
Yeah, the world's full of them.
Yeah, and people don't drive. People don't drive like they used to. People drive kind of rough nowadays. I'm the Burger King, and I demand you drive right. But
it's royal decree right there.
Royal decree. I'm losing my damn mind. I swear to God. So you make money. Chances are you're making some sort of surplus past your basic bills still. Hopefully, maybe. If not, try to get jobs. You're going to have to climb that ladder. I guess I should also do a podcast episode and bring my CPA on here so he can kind of explain how running your business works. Yeah. If you run a business, you don't have as much of a tax burden. Basically, what I would do, and what I'm actively trying to do right now, this is how I do things, is, sorry, traffic's a little crazy. I'm going to buy more than 10 acres of land. I have a house. I have, my girlfriend owns a house. I own a house. I'm going to sell my house and buy land in Kentucky. If you get more than 10 acres of land, it's considered farmland. I'm going to make a farm out of it. I have a business. This right here, what you see, this is my business. I do this as a business, among other things, like custom 3D printing Hit me up with an email if you need some custom shit 3D printed. I got you. Within reason. No feds allowed.
Ah,
But
when's that ever work?
yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I don't work for the government. I will not work for the government, and I will not do anything for people that work for the government. I do not support our government in any way, shape, or form. That includes local law enforcement. Just don't do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm sorry.
Dude, yeah, you fucking hit me. Hit me. Go
Oh,
ahead.
that semi back there? Yeah,
Yeah.
he came close, didn't he?
He's about to find out. We're about to exchange some currency.
Good old currency exchange. Semi drivers nowadays don't drive worth a crap either.
Nothing professional about professional drivers.
It's been kind of Mad Maxy out here, which is also why I do carry a firearm in most places I go. It's a little Mad Maxy out of here. Um, I've seen people get robbed on the interstate. I've seen, well, hell, last year when we were in Chicago, the son of a bitch was getting looted.
Yep.
It was getting looted top to bottom. We had to get the fuck out of there.
Walmart's, grocery stores.
Everything,
Yep.
everything. Hordes of people were just coming through and just looting shit. It was wild. Got the hell out of there. I ain't dealing with that. I don't want to deal with that. But, you know, that's part of my investment strategy as well. So, you know, first and foremost, I do things to reduce my costs overall. And there are a lot of cheap things. We'll start with that. There's circles of influence, right? You gotta control what's in your circles of influence and control. Well, I can grow my own food. I can get rain barrels. I can save water. That saves a lot of money. The majority of your costs nowadays are going to be food costs, and the majority of that food cost is going to be, you know, your beef, your lettuces, all that shit. Is your truck stop food? Not so much. It's gone up a lot too, but mainly your healthy stuff. If you want to be healthy, your healthy stuff is costing you an arm and a leg, guys.
So much more expensive to eat healthy.
And you can grow it. You can grow a lot of this stuff anywhere, even in an HOA. Like,
yeah, raised beds.
I'm doing a whole video series on my garden, on Steve's garden. Steve has a farm. He's got a 10-acre farm. I want the 10-acre farm. It is a tax. You get really good tax benefits by owning a farm. So you got to keep that in mind. Check your local laws. But generally in Kentucky, you get really good tax benefits for owning a farm. So I want to own a farm. Because the more money I make to keep up with inflation, the more the government takes from me, which is not fun, and I would like that not to happen. So I need to invest in things that, one, make me more money, and two, keep the government from taking as much of that money. So that's something you got to work on. Whatever your profession is, look for that more money. Start a business doing something on the side, and that'll help with your tax burden as well. And then with that excess money, seeds are cheap. Start growing your own food. If you ain't got space to grow your food, I'll post some links in the show description for some really good grow lights. And you can literally 3D print hydroponics kits. You can buy hydroponics kits. I've got videos on my YouTube channel of hydroponics kits. And you can grow a lot of greens that way. You can grow a lot of greens in soil. Right now I'm growing 72 corn plants, 48 bean plants, roughly 28 squash plants.
Giving tomatoes away, you have so many.
I'm giving tomato plants away. I have so many. Roughly, I'm growing 20 tomato plants ish. I've got comfrey growing, which is perennial. I've got blackberries perennial, apple trees perennial, strawberries, which are perennial. Egyptian walking onion going. I've got garlic going. All this stuff that you pay a lot of money for, I've got it. I've got it growing. You can grow blueberries. You need acidic soil. If you don't have acidic soil, throw some soil in a pot, make that shit in the pot acidic, and grow your blueberry bushes in pots. Old Time Pottery has pots on the cheap. This is all stuff you can afford. Seeds are cheap. Go to your local greenhouse, buy some plants. A $40 plant will pay itself off, I promise you. Grow your own food. you're probably spending at least 20 grand a year in food. You could cut that in half by growing a lot of stuff. Oh, and did I mention I'm growing all this stuff in a 9 foot by 25 foot plot? Actually, it's like 10 by 25.
Yeah.
Or, no, I think it's 10 by 50. I think it's 500 square feet. I'm doing all this in 500 square feet, which is the average size of a living room.
Yeah.
Oh, it must be on the other side. Come on. Hearing sirens. You guys probably hear them too in the background, unfortunately.
It's an ambulance.
Where
Actually,
is he in our side or their side?
he's on our side, but he took
Oh,
the
okay.
exit back there.
Okay. So grow your own food. That's a big one. If you water your grass, you live in an HOA and you got to maintain your grass, get rain barrels. You can get some nice fancy rain barrels. Everybody gets a tax check. Well, sometimes you do. Sometimes you get money back, sometimes you don't. If you get money back, invest that in a couple rain barrels. Then you've got water. You've got a source of water. You got to have food and water to live, right? Well, rainwater you can water your plants with, you can water your garden with, you can water your grass with, and depending on where you're at, you could also pipe it in your house and use it to shower with or flush your toilets with. When I get my rain barrels in, I'll show you how to build a filter for them. Basic sand filter. Sand carbon filter filters the stuff out, and then you can take it, and if you want to make it drinkable, you can run it through a Berkey filter. A Sport Berkey, I think, is 2.25 gallons. You can get it for like 200, 300 bucks with the filters and everything. If you're using rainwater, you probably don't have to worry about fluoride filters, which are really expensive. If you're using tap water, you do. I recommend getting one with the fluoride filters if you're on tap water anyways, and doing that, because that's the tits, and fluoride's bad for you. It's a neurotoxin. You got anything on food and water, Scott?
Stuff you do have to buy, try to buy in bulk. Buy it before you need it. Buy it when you have the money.
That's a good point.
Stuff that's non-perishable.
We've
Canned stuff.
That's a good point. A lot of this stuff is non-perishable. Like, just because it has an expiration date on it doesn't mean it necessarily goes bad, guys. Like flour, if you store it right, will last 30 plus years.
Yeah, the FDA mandates that they have to put a sell-by date on things regardless of its actual shelf life.
Yep. So I did a whole video on this on YouTube on grain storage, on how I store flour, rice, beans, everything. And you can buy it in bulk. I think I've got 100 pounds of flour, about 150 pounds of rice, about 100 pounds of beans. They're all in 5-gallon buckets. You dump them in 5-gallon buckets to where it's almost full, where you got enough room to toss a hand warmer in, like a hot hands hand warmer that kind of you shake up. You can bulk buy those on Amazon. I'll put links in this description as well. Shake them up, you toss them in, you seal it. I've got links for the buckets and everything. The buckets are kind of cheap. I mean, they're less than $10 a piece for this, guys.
Are these food grade buckets?
They're food grade, like 120 mil. They're really good buckets.
Yeah.
Like really good buckets with really good lids that have that little ring on it that you got to peel the ring off to get them back off.
Yeah.
And then you take a permanent marker, you mark what they are, you leave them for 30 years. If you need them, you got them. But I'm telling you right now, you buy 100 pounds of flour right now, I guarantee you it's going to be cheaper to buy it now than it will be 5 or 10 years from now.
That's for sure.
So you might as well have it.
And be smart too. If you can't buy everything that you need, buy things that are multi-purpose.
Yeah.
Like if you have to choose between sugar and honey, buy honey. You can use honey for more than just sugar.
You can use honey as a sweetener. You can use honey to ferment things. It's better for you. It has a lower glycemic index.
Do your homework.
Do your homework on that. Stuff like that. Pancake mix, put pancake mix, oats, everything like that back. Stuff you commonly eat. If you're going to buy one of it, buy 2 of it and store the second part of it. Don't tap into it. When the first one's gone, do the same thing, and you'll just build and build and build your pantry up. Fill them pantry shelves, guys. That's going to be your biggest cost. Grow your own food. Do everything you can. Learn how to can. I'll do a whole if you guys are interested, comment on here, and I'll do a whole damn thing on canning. I'll put a link to the was the Ball's Blue Book of Canning.
Yep.
I've got that one. It's a good book. A lot of those recipes require sugar. I'll teach you how to do it without sugar too. Because I'm doing keto. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. I don't know. Anyways, that's another good thing. As we have seen with the 1911 pistol experiment we did, have you some guns. Have you some guns that might be banned soon. Have you some guns that might not be banned. I don't care what your political affiliation is, how you feel about guns. It's a good investment. And sooner or later, you're going to want at least a pistol at some point. I always carry one with me.
It's not always going to be someone else around to save you.
Yeah. The cops take time to get to places. You know, me drawing a pistol is pretty quick. Me drawing a pistol is a hell of a lot quicker than a cop showing up to draw a pistol. If they even show up. Half the time, they might not even show up. You don't know. Times are changing. They're a little different. We are at an hour and 2 minutes on this. We need to wrap this up. Ammo is another good one. Ammo price constantly goes up. Buy ammo, learn how to reload. I've got videos on it. Besides food and water and stuff, what's your next big expenses? Probably property. Make your property work for you by growing stuff and doing all this stuff on your property too. You can make your property start paying itself off.
Vehicle, fuel's expensive.
Vehicle, fuel. Yeah, you can't do much about that. If you have a diesel's got a 20-year storage life, but nobody can go out and buy 400 gallons of diesel at a time. You know, not a lot of people have money for that.
Or the storage capabilities.
But this is my short-term stuff. This is stuff that will save you money in the long run. This is stuff that will reduce your overall cost so you can spend more money investing. Now, when you get into the investing side of things, you got a little bit of surplus. You got some food and water set up. We're going to go back over to my screen share. Bring up that Brave browser. Okay, we're going to minimize OBS. Go over to JM Bullion or somewhere like it. Start stacking silver. Start stacking a little bit of gold and silver when you can. Start stacking a little bit of Bitcoin when you can. A good way to store Bitcoin or stack Bitcoin is you can either buy it off Coinbase, or there's this cool app called Fold where you get Bitcoin back instead of cash back on all your purchases. That's not it. Fold app. This right here, guys, I'll put a link to Fold in the show description. And if you click my link, you get Bitcoin when you join. And I get Bitcoin when you join. And everybody gets Bitcoin when you join. And it's handy. I've got about 1.2 million sats that I've stacked just off of purchases on Fold. You can also buy Bitcoin off of Fold. And then you can transfer it to your soft wallet, hard wallet, your private wallet, whatever. Now, what I do is I leave some money on Fold. I've got some money in my private wallet. So I've got Bitcoin on Fold, Bitcoin in my private wallet. The Bitcoin on Fold I can push back to my card at any time in case of an emergency. But it's kind of gaining money through Bitcoin when it does that. So I'm leaving it there. Then I've got money in a private wallet that nobody knows about, nobody can touch. I don't leave any money on any Bitcoin exchange whatsoever, ever, end of story, period, because you can end up getting FTX. You can end up, government can seize your Bitcoin account if it's on an exchange. They can't do shit to a private wallet because they don't know where it's at or how to get to it. So start stacking silver and Bitcoin. That would be my financial advice. Put as much of it away as you can reasonably. I would have a grand or two set aside in either cash. I'd have at least $1,000 in cash, cold hard cash, set aside for bills or whatever you need in case you lose your job or something as liquid. I'm willing to eat the cost of capital on the dollar of that. That's fine. And then I've got this set up where I go to Fold. I'm not going to log into my stuff and show you all my shit. But then you can buy Bitcoin on Fold. You can push it back to cash if you need. And then you've got your private wallet, and you can spend Bitcoin like currency. How do I do that? I don't know. Let's Google it. And guys, I don't bother with shitcoin. I don't play with shitcoins like Doge or Shiba or any of that. You might be able to pump and dump it and make more money. I like to leave my shit sit in Bitcoin. I like Pirate Chain. I will take payment in Pirate Chain, and then I will take the Pirate Chain and I will convert it to Bitcoin. Because Pirate Chain is ultra mega super private. Stores that accept Bitcoin. BitPay.com. GameStop. Oh, apparently there's a BitPay wallet app. Let's view merchants. So basically, back to the Fold card. How Fold works is so certain things you swipe your card with, and it's a debit card, you put money on it, you get money back in Bitcoin. And then certain things you can buy gift cards and get even more money back in Bitcoin. Like if I go to 1-800-flowers.com and, I upset my girlfriend, I need to send her some flowers. I go to 1-800-flowers.com, I buy it on my Fold card, I send her $100 worth of flowers, right? Then I get $10 in Bitcoin because you get 10% back. So it's an investment. Turn everything into an investment, even when you piss your
It's an
girlfriend
extra
off.
step. You having to buy a gift card and then use a gift card instead of your debit card, but you do get that return on your funds at the end.
So it looks like even the home. I don't know if these are accurate, but oh, here we go. AMC, Jumbo Shop, featured merchants. Apparently, all these places take Bitcoin, guys. Newegg. You can pay the Red Cross in Bitcoin. Legit. All merchants. Yeah, 1-800-flowers.com, Abercrombie and Fitch. Let's find some useful ones. AutoZone. Who doesn't need car parts? Now, this might be a third party that interacts with them. Oh, yeah. This is buying gift cards. Let's go to something else. So, a lot of online purchases. Apparently, you can go to Home Depot. Let's try it. I want to buy this grill. I need to get Diana a gas grill, anyways. But I'm not spending my Bitcoin on it. Fucking A. I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack. Sure, I'll pick up in Chicago. Decline protection. Let's see what it gives me the option for with checkout. Mm, fuck, I got an account, but I don't want to log into all that bullshit. Can I just do a guest? Create an account. Fuck it. Nah, fucking. You ain't seen my password. I don't want to give you my phone either. No, God, fucking shit, damn.
And welcome to traffic.
800 369. Damn, you're fine. 6969. I don't want any damn subscriptions. We'll save that. I'll have to update that later. Skip now, continue shopping. I don't know. I don't know how you would do that. I used to go to purse.io and buy stuff off Amazon. See if that's still active. There's also Spend a Bit. I forgot about Spend a Bit. They don't do that no more, I guess. Interesting. Uh, let's see, gas grill. New egg, overstock. So that's how you can do a lot of your shopping too. If you want to buy your stuff in Bitcoin, and then you can bloop buy this little bitty ass Weber grill for whatever. And I guess that's how you do it. There you go. So you can spend your money in Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. I'd put probably a quarter of my net worth into mainly silver and a little bit of gold, and then a quarter of my net worth into Bitcoin. And then I'd take a quarter, and this is all after your bills are paid. And then I would take another quarter and set it aside as cash for an emergency and all that. And then the other quarter I would buy, commodities. And that's how I would diversify my stuff. That's how I do my stuff. And I'm actively looking for land, and Once I find my 10-acre farm, I'll do a whole video series on that. We'll maybe think of a catchy name for it or whatever. Anyways, the Homestead Tech Talk Farm. But that's how that all works. We've explained a lot of whys and bad things. We've gave some good ideas to counteract those bad things. And that's pretty much my advice for now. I mean, I wouldn't. I would take any money that you're not afraid to lose, and you can play with the shit coins like Doge and Sheeb and all that. Maybe a little pirate chain here and there. But for long-term investments, stick with Bitcoin and silver. Bitcoin will always outpace the stock market. You can try to play the stock market. If you're going to play the stock market, just invest in whatever the fuck Nancy Pelosi is because she's an inside trader from hell. And you're guaranteed to make money because she inside trades like a motherfucker.
Sound advice.
Sound advice. I think there's even AI apps that track Nancy Pelosi's stock buys, and you can actually build your portfolio off of what Nancy Pelosi fucking buys. Now, the problem with that is when you cash it out, you got to pay capital gains. You leave your money in Bitcoin, you can spend your Bitcoin, and you don't have to pay capital gains, so you cash it back out in fiat. Boom. That's how that works. And with that, guys, we're going to get out of here. We're going to get off of here. And, y'all have a good one. You got anything to say?
Be safe. Take care. That's
about it. About it.
About it.
Deuces.